Here's some of what's headed your way tonight on your News at 9.
A new law creating a drug abuse treatment program for low-level felons is about to take effect in Kansas. I'm Zach Dodge with how it could impact one of our local district courts. Coming up.
Plus, a St. Louis man who shot at a Jasper County deputy is sentenced to federal prison. And Crosslines Ministries announces changes to its policies regarding direct rent and utilities assistance. Meteorologist Nick Kelly has your weather. Sports director Jacob Leonard's on sports. I'm Mike Mahoney, and this is your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Well, thanks as always for joining us. A St. Louis man gets federal prison time for shooting at a Jasper County Sheriff's deputy. KOAM's Chris Warner has been following the story and has the latest.
On March 1st, 2017, the Ozarks Drug Enforcement Task Force was serving a search warrant at the Econo Lodge on Rangeline in Joplin. During that, E.F. Fitzpatrick shot Jasper County Sheriff's Deputy Nolan Murray through a window before the team even got to the door. Dozens of officers responded, including SWAT, evacuating the hotel and starting a standoff lasting more than 3 hours. Then, just after 7 that evening, Fitzpatrick surrendered and was taken into custody. In July of 2019, a McDonald County jury found Fitzpatrick not guilty of unlawful use of a weapon and armed criminal action. In August that same year, Fitzpatrick was federally indicted. On Wednesday, a judge sentenced the 47-year-old Fitzpatrick to 25 years in federal prison without parole for drug trafficking and illegally discharging a firearm. Now, Deputy Murray had to have surgery to remove the bullet from his back. Following the events of March 1st, the community came together to support Deputy Murray. Nearly 2 weeks after the shooting, a benefit was held for Murray in Carl Junction. In April of 2017, Deputy Murray was awarded the Purple Heart for the injuries he sustained. I'm Chris Warner for KOAM News.
The court sentenced Fitzpatrick to 350 months in prison, but gave him credit for the 50 months he already served in state custody in connection with a related offense. The former mayor pro tem of Purcell, Missouri is accused of stealing from the town. Authorities have charged Nancy Wilson with felony stealing. A probable cause statement says the city's current mayor, Kelsey Friedland, uncovered the theft totaling more than $2,500. Investigators say Wilson wrote checks from the city and deposited them in her own bank account. A new law creating drug abuse treatment programs for drug offenses is about to take effect in Kansas. The law will require district attorneys to create drug abuse treatment programs for drug offenders who face a level 5 felony for the first time. KOAM Zach Dodge has more details and reaction from a local district attorney.
Last month, Governor Laura Kelly signed House Bill 2026 into law. It will create drug abuse treatment programs for low-level offenders, which will make it so offenders facing a first-time felony drug offense would have a way to keep that off their criminal record. Offenders would go through the program before and instead of a criminal trial. If completed, charges would be dropped. That is, if they qualify following a drug assessment, getting a recommendation from a mental health professional, and following a risk needs assessment by the Kansas Sentencing Commission. District attorneys like Jerry Hathaway in the 31st District would also have discretion, since DAs have the responsibility of writing their program's guidelines. Hathaway says they do diversions, but not quite like this.
This is a whole new ballgame. Between risk needs assessments and mental health evaluations with regard to what each individual person may need in terms of treatment. We have those things in place in general. I think it's just going to be a matter of time, really, for us to sit down and go, okay, how are we going to implement this new law within our diversion program?
The 31st District already has a drug court program, which is much different from the new law. So Hathaway says treatment can be very beneficial to offenders. His biggest concern, though, is how it's going to be paid for.
We have a lot of indigent defendants, and they can come up with maybe the diversion fee for the diversion, but somebody's going to, if they need to go to treatment, somebody's going to have to pay for that. Right. And I'll be the first to tell you right now, I'm not sure who that entity is going to be. So that's going to be the biggest hurdle, I think, in implementation of this new law.
And the clock is ticking since it takes effect on July 1st. In Iola, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
And we have more from discussions from Hathaway and thoughts from the Allen County Sheriff in this story on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. All right, time for a weather update. And what do you know? I'm not the only weekend guy here today. Nick Kelly, how's the weather?
A lot better than yesterday, that's for sure, Mike. Everybody got to enjoy a dry day. Not to mention a nice looking sunset from 7th and Rangeline. The numbers certainly fared better. 59 at Joplin Regional this morning and topping out at 73. We had areas northwest of Joplin topping out in the upper 70s this afternoon. Many of us are dry right now. I am watching one storm trying to hold together as it slides to the east of Wichita. In general, though, our main storm system is wrapping up as it continues to move away from the Missouri-Iowa border. Quick check of temperatures has many of us in the mid-60s for the most part. It's going to be chilly tonight, Mike, with maybe some areas of fog, but we'll track that, and thankfully a warm-up that'll continue into the weekend here in a bit.
All right, sounds good, Nick. Thanks, as always. Joplin's Crosslines Ministries announces it will no longer provide direct rent or utility assistance. The organization says its funding for those services came from an external source, and Crosslines decided to no longer provide them directly. Crosslines will still help connect clients with organizations that do provide that assistance, however.
They're looking and to partner with organizations outside of us that provide that rent and utility resource, and we encourage that. Want to just be able to see folks do that. They're folks that do rent and utility assistance better than we do it.
Crosslines says addressing food insecurity is their #1 goal, and this change will allow them to double down on that. Spire Natural Gas is asking the Missouri Public Service Commission for a rate increase. The increase would amount to an average additional charge of around $3.28 a month. The PSC is hosting 6 virtual public hearings. A hearing for the Joplin area customers is scheduled for June 25th at 6 p.m. and you can participate through a website called WebEx, and you can find a link to that in our story on this website, on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. Earlier today, Charlie 22 Outdoors hosted a fundraiser golf tournament at the Carthage Municipal Golf Course. The tournament, dubbed Operation Teeing Off, was a 4-man scramble with at least one veteran on each team.
When you have a veteran tell you a story, it'll knock you to your knees and humble you pretty quickly, and to have them trust you enough to tell you their story. So being able to give them this opportunity to do this is very, very rewarding, not just for me, but for the volunteers and for everybody involved.
Charlie 22 Outdoors is a nonprofit organization with a mission of providing outdoor activities for our nation's veterans. It's now time for us to honor one of our many 4-state heroes. And tonight we recognize Travis Delzell of Joplin, Missouri. Delzell served as a sergeant in the U.S. Army, and he fought in both Iraq and Afghanistan. He earned an Iraqi Campaign Medal, a Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, and many other honors. Thank you, sir, for your courage and for fighting for freedom. For more information on any of our 4-state heroes or to nominate your own, just log on to KOAMnewsnow.com. We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Plus, south of the border, Mexican authorities are trying to figure out what to do about this dangerous and gigantic sinkhole. That's coming up right after weather.
After pretty much losing track of how many days we had to deal with rainfall, it was nice that Mother Nature finally gave us a break and took us from mostly cloudy skies this morning from indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri, to a partly sunny afternoon. A much needed break, and we will definitely take it considering how much rain fell this week alone. This doesn't even take into account the heavy rainfall that we got from the flooding last week, especially on Thursday across parts of the area. On the average, half an inch of rain. Northwestern counties didn't pick up much, maybe a trace of half an inch. Other areas, especially closer to Table Rock Lake, that was the big bullseye of half an inch to 3 inches of rain. That's rain that those areas did not need, but this is a welcome sight. Mainly a dry scan on the radar network. With that said, I am keeping an eye on one storm trying to hold together. It's west of Eureka and El Dorado, pretty much along US Highway 54. It's kind of strong, but as we lose the heating of the day, this is going to gradually weaken as it sinks slowly toward the south and east. So we're not too worried about that, but still I'll keep an eye on that as our evening rolls along. But overall, can't deny this is a much better look. Mostly cloudy skies turning partly sunny this afternoon, and most of us staying dry for the day. In fact, it still looks really nice. From 7th and Range Line, looking north and west from the east side of Joplin. 63 is where we said, calm breeze, and with some clearing overnight and a lot of moisture still on the ground, that humidity is going to climb up, and we could see some patchy fog as a result by the time the Thursday morning drive gets underway. In the meantime, we're not quite into the 50s yet. Most of us from the lower to mid 60s. But we'll drop back into the upper 50s overall as we go through the overnight. A wider look at things showing finally much of the Central Plains, at least seeing a bit of a lull in the activity as our main storm system at the surface at least scoots out toward the east. The flow around below is what's trying to give us a lighter breeze and at least a north breeze on the light side. But in the upper levels, this is what's important. This upper low that kept the rain chances in for much of this week, finally moving along toward the east, and as it continues to clear out, any remaining shower or stray storm out there, it's gone as we go through the overnight. But again, though, with the moisture still on the ground, I would not be surprised if we have some patchy fog. Otherwise, we'll go from a chilly start to a pretty warm afternoon, and in general, a quiet afternoon. Still on the tail end of that departing wave. Can't rule out a random storm, but it's the slimmest of a chance. Most of us will stay dry tomorrow. 56 in the morning, 73 by noon, highs around 77. We'll do that with plenty of sunshine and a light breeze to take us through the rest of the day. Quick look at tomorrow night. About as quiet as we can get. Mostly clear skies, chilly start Friday morning, but back into the lower 80s. And we're keeping things dry, thankfully, on your Friday as the weekend gets going. Let's go 82 again on your Saturday. Maybe a few random storms in the afternoon, but again, a day where most of us are dry. Let's go 80 on Sunday, upper 70s to lower 80s through the middle of next week, Mike. But by that time, the rain chances, they're going to return once again.
Yeah, it looks like my 2 days off, it's going to rain, and my dogs hate that because they like to go on walks. But
on the plus side, though, this is dry time the next 3 days that we really need.
Yeah. My home state of California would love some weather like this. So thanks so much, Nick. And hey, Nick, check out this frightening scene in Mexico. A sinkhole that's more than 230 feet across has opened up on farmland in the town of Juanci Bonilla, and it is threatening to swallow up a house. Right now, state and federal authorities are trying to figure out what caused the massive opening to develop and how to best protect locals in the area. Boy, that is gigantic. All right, still to come, President Biden celebrates progress against the pandemic with a new vaccination push.
President Biden declaring a national month of action, making a big push toward herd immunity. I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta. I'll have details coming up.
America's neighbor to the north says you can mix and match your COVID-19 vaccines. Canada's top health agency says citizens who received at least one dose of the AstraZeneca can get either Pfizer or Moderna as a second shot. But officials also say recipients should ideally be offered a second dose from the same manufacturer. President Biden takes a victory lap as COVID-19 infections continue to fall in the U.S. He's also announcing a major push to get millions of Americans vaccinated before the 4th of July. Fox News' Jonathan Seri has more from Atlanta.
We made incredible progress in getting people vaccinated quickly.
President Biden giving a big hand to public health officials as he marks progress made in the U.S. vaccination campaign. Almost 169 million Americans have gotten at least one dose in what the president calls a wartime effort. But there's still more to be done, and the White House says June will be a national month of action, hoping to get at least 70% of adults partially vaccinated by the 4th of July.
If you get a shot this week, you can be fully vaccinated by July 4th, by the week of July the 4th. And you can celebrate Independence Day free from fear or worry.
The president says the new vaccine push will be a whole-of-government approach centered on outreach and education efforts and aimed at those who have been hesitant to sign up. Right now, the U.S. is averaging just over 1.2 million shots per day, down from more than 3 million back in April.
Some of it could be, I don't have childcare, or when am I going to do this? So the real question is, what are the things that are getting in people's way?
Meanwhile, across the country, cities and states are moving ahead with their reopening plans. COVID restrictions lifted in Las Vegas at midnight on Tuesday. The Strip coming back to life after a year of lockdowns and quarantines. A welcome change for vendors and street performers.
We can be back doing what we love most, and that's making people happy and putting smiles on people's faces.
As part of the month of action, Vice President Kamala Harris will lead a national vaccination tour to encourage Americans to get their shots. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Anheuser-Busch says they'll give away free beer to folks 21 and older if the United States hits its vaccination goal. President Biden wants 70% of the country to have at least one of its COVID-19 shots by Independence Day. And for those who are staying away from alcohol, the beer company is offering up free seltzer, non-alcoholic beverages, and other Anheuser-Busch products. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say 62.8% of the American adult population has already received one dose of COVID-19 vaccine, with more than 133.5 million people fully vaccinated. When we return, we've got an update on the situation at the U.S.-Mexico border.
Pressure is mounting here at the southern border for Washington to do something about the influx of migrants. I'm Aisha Hasni in Hidalgo, Texas, with President Biden's plans coming up.
Welcome back to your news at 9. Pressure is mounting along the southern border for Washington to do something to address the influx of migrants crossing into the U.S. Fox News' Aisha Hasni is in Hidalgo, Texas, with more on the latest push for legislation.
Touring the U.S.-Mexico border, Senators John Cornyn and Kyrsten Sinema urged immediate support of their bipartisan Border Solutions Act introduced last month. If passed, the bill would create 4 new regional processing centers to help handle the influx of migrants on our southern border.
Obviously, we've got some huge challenges.
Their visit comes one day after Texas Governor Greg Abbott issued a disaster declaration in 34 Texas counties, addressing what he says is an ongoing surge of illegal migration. In a statement Tuesday, Abbott defended his decision, saying, quote, President Biden's open border policies have paved the way for dangerous gangs and cartels, human traffickers, and deadly drugs like fentanyl to pour into our communities. Texas continues to step up to confront the border crisis in the federal government's absence, but more must be done.
The criminal cartels control the Mexican-U.S. border, and Joe Biden administration handed it to them.
Meantime, in Costa Rica, Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with senior leaders of Central American countries as the Biden administration works to address what it calls root causes of migration.
President Biden proposes to make a very historically significant investment of $4 billion over 4 years to help countries address these root causes.
And this weekend, Kamala Harris will make her own visit to Central America, her first foreign trip as vice president. In Hidalgo, Texas, I'm Aisha Hasni, Fox News.
Iran's largest Navy ship has sunk after going up in flames in the Gulf of Oman. Heavy black smoke could be seen rising from the vessel, which reportedly sank near the Iranian port of Jask today after catching fire under unclear circumstances. Iranian state-controlled media reports that the Navy ship was on a training mission and that everyone on board was able to safely evacuate. Right after this short break, we are taking a trip to Tulsa. And we'll be checking out a brand new museum that is preserving the history of the century-old Tulsa Race Massacre. That story and more next, right after this short break. Tulsa, Oklahoma is dedicating a newly opened museum to preserving the history of the city's 1921 race massacre. Descendants of victims were among the first to check out the new Greenwood Rising History Center. Greenwood is a black community in Tulsa that was targeted by white residents during the deadly attack. The $18 million project was funded with local and state dollars as well as from private donations. Exhibits were designed by the same designer who worked on the National September 11th Museum in New York.
The centennial anniversary of the 1921 Race Massacre is an opportunity, and that's all it is. It's an opportunity for us as a city and a state to make sure that this day is never forgotten again. that we teach it, and that we learn from it.
President Biden visited Tulsa on Tuesday to commemorate 100 years since the massacre when black Tulsa residents were killed or chased out of town and had their communities burned down by white Tulsans. Stay right there. We've got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another look at your weather with meteorologist Nick Kelly and your KOAM Sports Report with Sports Director Jacob Leonard. That's all coming up right here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
It's a make or break week for a deal on a bipartisan infrastructure package. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. More on who the president met with to bring both sides of the aisle closer to an agreement.
The world's largest meat supplier is back up and running after a cyber attack. I'm Alicia Acuna in Greeley, Colorado. I'll have the latest coming up.
Fox 14.
With just days to go until the president's latest deadline to reach some sort of an agreement on an infrastructure bill, President Biden met with the top Republican negotiator in the latest move to get both parties on the same page. Fox News' Lauren Blanchard is in Washington with the latest.
President Biden meeting with Senator Shelley Moore Capito in the White House, a rare one-on-one meeting with a top Republican infrastructure bill negotiator. Republicans have offered a roughly $1 trillion bill focused on traditional infrastructure items like roads, bridges, railways, and broadband. It would not raise taxes, instead would reallocate unused money from past COVID relief bills. In a joint letter, the U.S. Conference of Mayors, National League of Cities, and National Association of Counties say they want a comprehensive infrastructure bill, quote, but not at the expense of reducing funds already authorized under the American Rescue Plan Act. The president's latest proposal is much bigger and includes non-traditional infrastructure items. Some Democrats want President Biden to abandon talks with Republicans and move a bill forward through a process known as budget reconciliation. The president said he wants movement toward a bill by June 7th.
Patience is not unending, and he wants to make progress. His only line in the sand is inaction. He wants to sign a bill into law this summer.
Others want to wait for a bipartisan bill.
I really believe that we should keep working at it. And if we get to the point where there's no more conversation to be had, then we move on.
The Senate parliamentarian has advised Democratic leaders the simple majority reconciliation process is an option, but it has limits, and it can't be used just to avoid the filibuster. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
The state of Kansas is reporting an increase in abortions, and officials say it's due to women crossing state lines to get the procedure done. The State Department of Health is reporting a 9% increase over a year. In 2020, there were more than 7,500 abortions performed in the state. In 2019, that number was just over 6,900. Officials say the increase is due to women from Oklahoma and Texas coming to Kansas to get abortions. In 2020, 566 women crossed state lines for an abortion in Kansas, as opposed to 2019 when that number was just 110. The 9.1% jump in abortions was the largest annual increase since at least 1995, when the state of Kansas began requiring all healthcare providers to report any abortions they performed. The world's largest meat supplier is resuming operations after its plants across the country suffered a cyber attack. The intrusion is raising new concerns about the vulnerability of our nation's cybersecurity. Fox News' Alicia Acuna has more.
Employees headed back to work at JBS plants across the country on Wednesday. The world's largest meat supplier is back online after a cyber attack shut down its U.S.-based beef plants. Today, the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency says it became aware of the intrusion on Monday and is working with the FBI. The White House says a criminal group likely based in Russia is thought to be responsible and is working directly with Russia's government to stop future attacks.
This is an issue that we have discussed with the Russian government, the specific issue, and we've discussed it in the past and delivered the message that responsible states do not harbor ransomware criminals.
The attack raising new concerns about the nation's cybersecurity. Just last month, the Colonial Pipeline was targeted by a criminal group based in Russia. President Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin are expected to discuss the topic at a scheduled summit in Geneva this month.
The United States can't afford to walk away from the table and just not talk to Russia over something like this, especially when we can't prove that the government had anything to do with it.
Meanwhile, the Department of Agriculture says there are no indications so far of a meat shortage here in the U.S., but prices could continue to increase due to COVID and the weather.
The freight cost certainly has increased dramatically over the past year. It's up about 40 to 50%.
and that is going to the meat.
And just this morning, another ransomware attack impacting ferry service to Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. In Greeley, Colorado, Alicia Acuna, Fox News.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's opponents announced today they have reached a deal to form a new governing coalition, paving the way for the ouster of the longtime Israeli leader. The announcement by opposition leader Yair Lapid and his main coalition partner Naftali Bennett came shortly before a midnight deadline and prevented the country from plunging into what would have been its 5th consecutive election in just over 2 years. The deal could spell the final days of Netanyahu's 12-year run in office. Israel has also elected a new president. Veteran politician Isaac Herzog will be the country's 11th president. The 60-year-old is the former head of Israel's Labor Party and comes from a prominent Zionist family. The role of Israel's president is largely a ceremonial one, meant to create unity and provide moral guidance. But the Israeli president does have the power to grant pardons and is responsible for tapping a party leader to form governing coalitions. Former President Donald Trump's blog has been removed from his website. Trump aide Jason Miller said that the page, which launched last month after the former president was banned from major social media platforms, would not be returning. The blog had been called from the desk of Donald J. Trump. Miller said the info there is being worked into a broader efforts and that fans of President Trump should stay tuned. We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. And later in the show, a wild day on Wall Street.
A trading frenzy triggered on Wall Street as investors buy up these so-called meme stocks like AMC and BlackBerry. I'm Susan Lee in New York. I'll tell you what's driving this trend coming right up.
After so many days of rain chances to put up with, it was nice that Mother Nature finally gave us a full day of mainly dry weather, something we have not seen in quite a while and something that we deserve. We just had to get past a mostly cloudy start from our time-lapse of indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. Then we finally saw partly to mostly sunny skies, finally back in action as we went throughout the course of the day. Again, dry time that we need, because just this week alone since Sunday, half an inch of rainfall on average, heaviest amounts south and east of I-44. But even when you go back to last Thursday, much of the area has seen close to 2 inches of rain, with the big bullseye pushing 8 to 9 inches right in southwestern Missouri south of I-44. So no doubt a lot of you are wanting a break in the rain. We got that today, and we're pretty much still seeing that right now on the radar network, but just on the very western fringe of the area, there's still one lone little thunderstorm trying to hold together between El Dorado and Eureka as it sinks mainly to the south. So as long as that stays a trend, this won't be a big issue for us, and we'll just keep things quiet for the rest of the night. But I do want to point out, all this moisture still on the ground, there's some clearing skies, and a light breeze taking place that could lead to some patchy fog overnight. Not seeing that yet from 7th and Range Line, still looking okay from the east side of the city. 63 with the falling barometer and humidity starting to climb back up at 84%. Temperatures were a lot better today. Upper 60s, the coolest, but still an improvement compared to yesterday in our southeastern counties. Then you had 71 in Joplin downtown to upper 70s, especially around Chanute. Right now, most of us mainly in the 60s, mainly lower to middle 60s, and we'll drop back into the upper 50s for kind of a chilly night. But again, nice to see a break in the action as at the surface, this low pressure center is giving us a light north breeze, and upstairs, this stubborn upper level low continuing to move off toward the east. That gets rid of the any slim rain chance as we go through the rest of the night. But again, we'll have to watch for some areas of patchy fog as we get the morning drive underway. Then once we get past that, I just think we're in pretty good shape for the rest of the day. Maybe some partly sunny skies by the afternoon. Can't rule out the very slimmest chance of a random shower or storm during the afternoon. But again, you saw how the future track kept us mostly dry. 56 in the morning, 73 by noon. Highs near 77. Quick look at Thursday night, Friday morning. A bit chilly, but mostly clear, with lows in the upper 50s. And how about lower 80s? Finally, these numbers are going to return with mostly sunny skies on our Friday. It's going to be a nice, warm, dry start to the weekend as we watch for another upper low to develop in Texas. And by Saturday, the jet stream starts to grab it. Pull some moisture our way, maybe a few storms late in the day on Saturday. But as this slowly drifts to the north in the early next week, that is when, like it or not, the rain chances will ramp back up once again. But 77 tomorrow, 82 Friday and Saturday, 80 on Sunday, and we'll just stay mainly warm, even with the rain chances increasing early next week, Mike.
Hey, nothing we haven't seen around here in the four-state area around these months. So
yeah, but dry time, we haven't seen that in a while, and we're going to enjoy it.
All right, yeah, I am looking forward to it. Thanks as always, Nick Kelly. All right, sports fans, coming up in the world of sports, the NCBA World Series wraps up with the national championship game tonight in Pittsburgh. Plus, the Joplin Outlaws prepare for Friday night Minx League opener. Jacob Leonard has that and more coming up.
Proudly supporting person
Here on Fox 14.
Well, this week is opening week for the Joplin Outlaws. Joplin has a couple exhibition games today and tomorrow before their Mink League schedule begins on Friday. Now, we caught up with the team to talk about a few changes and getting back on the field after being sidelined last summer. The wait is over for the Joplin Outlaws.
Everybody's been kind of off for a few weeks or so, and everybody's ready to get back on the field and get better and try to win some games this summer.
The Outlaws have a new head coach in Chris Dawson, who comes over from McPherson College in Kansas.
Growing up in Wichita, you know, having some of the Mink League teams come to the NBC tournament, so I was familiar with the Mink League, and I knew it was a good league, so I just wanted to kind of come over here and see what it was all about.
They also have a handful of local guys.
I'm just hoping to develop more as a player, kind of find the strike zone a little better and work on some stuff and be able to be a good teammate at the same time.
Just trying to get some innings in. I needed that real bad, and get some more experience basically is what I'm trying to do.
We've kind of all been talking over a little bit of social media, and we're getting to know each other, so I think it's going to be a good team, a lot of energy around it.
The Outlaws have not played since 2019, with COVID-19 shutting down last summer's schedule.
You missed it last summer, and so let's pack the house this summer and back these boys. This will be the nicest place I've ever played at, personally. I mean, I haven't played at a ton of places, but you see all the boxes up there and all the seats all around, and I know it'll be full on the weekends and hopefully during some weekdays, so it'll just be a cool environment to play in and a cool place to be at. We're going to have guys that are able to go out and throw strikes and get guys out, and then from an offensive perspective, we're going to be able to hit the ball over the fence, which I like, and we're going to be able to run and steal a bunch of bags, which is always fun. So we're going to be pretty fun to watch, and I think we're going to be able to pick it defensively and play clean baseball. So, as much as I don't want to sound like a coach's answer, I think we're going to be able to do everything really well.
Now, the Outlaws open their Mink League schedule on Friday night, facing Des Moines at 7 o'clock at Joe Becker Stadium in Joplin. In the major leagues, the St. Louis Cardinals wrap up their three-game series with the Dodgers tonight. The two teams have split the first two games. Tonight, not really going well. Cards trail it 11-2 in the bottom of the fourth. The Dodgers scored all 11 in the first inning. Well, after 6 days and 14 games, the NCBA World Series finishes up tonight in Pittsburgh. The national title game this evening features Iowa State and Virginia Tech. Now, the Hokies and Cyclones squaring off at Pitt State. The winner heads home as national champs. In the second, Jack Quinn finds the gap. Two will score on the double. It's up 4-0 Hokies. And John King in the fifth. Big hit to right with nobody around. He gets all the way to third for the triple. And Kyle Eagle brings King home with a base hit the same way. That makes it 6-0. Pitcher Braden Hipsch was suffocating Iowa State. He's pitching a no-hitter through 5. That's a quick top of the 7th. Here's the final out. A perfect game for Hipsch. Not bad for a national championship. Virginia Tech wins at 6-0. Hokies are World Series champions.
I'm still just trying to take it in. It's unreal. I mean, I was thinking about it from like the third inning, but I knew my stuff was there today. I didn't even throw one of my pitches. Just didn't have quite the feel for it like I did the other ones, and everybody was making plays and picking me up.
And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Welcome back to your News at 9. A date is set. Amazon's annual Prime Day event will be held on June 21st and 22nd this year. The e-commerce giant says consumers will see more than 2 million deals. To get the deals, you have to be a member of its Prime subscription service. It was a wild day on Wall Street, a trading frenzy over AMC movie theater stocks sent it soaring to a record high. And that's not the only company seeing a surge thanks to so-called meme stocks. Fox News' Susan Lee takes a look.
A group of unlikely stocks seeing a surge in the markets, with shares of AMC, BlackBerry, and Nokia benefiting from purchases by small-time investors in recent weeks. These so-called meme stocks are being propelled by heavy interest coming from retail traders on social media sites like Reddit.
This is a strategy. It's an asset class now, and it's here to stay.
Shares of AMC Entertainment hitting record highs on Wednesday, climbing more than 90%.
People buying it today at 70, even though they know it was 30 yesterday.
The jump comes after hedge fund Mutual Capital profited from buying and selling 8.5 million shares that it just bought on Tuesday morning, saying that it was already overvalued. But that has not stopped investors from pouring money into the stock, prompting several trading halts throughout the day. AMC adding another incentive by offering even small investors a free large popcorn if they signed up to a regular newsletter. Now, the world's largest movie theater chain was on the brink of bankruptcy following the pandemic, being shuttered for several months because of COVID restrictions, but investors have been encouraged by big box office business over the Memorial Day long weekend. Other meme stocks seeing big gains as well on Wednesday. BlackBerry, which saw shares rise more than 10%, Bed Bath & Beyond, and GameStop. Financial experts warn meme stock traders that yes, there are risks.
I think, we get these big eyes that, hey, we're going to hit a home run. I'll be able to take my $10,000 and turn it into 30 or 40 or 100,000. And that doesn't happen a lot. And if you think that way, you're going to lose that money.
AMC shares are up more than 2,300% so far this year. In New York, Susan Lee, Fox News.
We are not done yet here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, you are going to meet an Arkansas dog who finally found his way back to his family after going missing for a decade. That story and more are coming up in just 2 quick minutes. All right, welcome back. And if you are a dog lover, you're going to love this story. A family in Arkansas got a call they'd been waiting a decade for. Their missing dog has been found more than 1,600 miles away in California, 10 years after it went missing. Last week, Animal Services in San Joaquin County, California, rescued Razzle, a 16-year-old miniature schnauzer, off the streets. Because he was microchipped, they were able to trace him back to the Howard family in McRae, Arkansas. The family says they were shocked to get a call from the shelter. They had posted on social media, put up flyers, and searched for Razzle, but he was never found.
I want to see his eyes. I just want to look him in the eyes. I want to see if he knows us. And I could get emotional real quick. I just want him home.
Arrangements are being made to get Razzle back to his family in Arkansas. That family is now encouraging everyone to get their pets microchipped. A giant panda cub was born on Monday at a Malaysian zoo, making it the third giant baby panda there. The staff has weighed and observed the cub, and they report that both parents Jing Jing and Liang Liang are healthy and in good spirits following the birth. According to zoo officials, this cub is the parents' third bundle of joy since arriving in Malaysia back in 2014. Hey, well, thanks so much for tuning in on this Wednesday evening. We'll leave you with even more panda video. This is a brown and white panda at a Chinese zoo. And we'll see you tomorrow for more KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Have a great night, and of course, stay safe out there.